YouTube, how's it going? The GOAT House is back. Today, I'm giving you every single NFL team's secret weapon to watch for in the 2021 season. So going through every team, a lot of these players, young players, under the radar names for the most part. Some guys, not really secret in terms of their names. People know them, but how teams will use them, more like a secret weapon. We're going to break it all down team by team here in a second. Follow our Twitter. Link down below, constantly giving you updates on the NFL, talking during live games, and keeping you guys involved. Pick'ems League, you'll join through there. Prizes throughout the year. Keeping you guys involved a lot there. So check it out. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. We much appreciate it. Cannot wait for our in-season content. Here's our Twitter, again, @GoatHouseNFL. And if you want the link directly, that brings you directly to what's on your screen right here, I'll pin that in the comments. But you click that link, and then you vote for all these different awards, and that'll be used in an upcoming video. So fun stuff there. Check it out. Again, link down below. Secret weapons for each team. Start with the Jets. Rookie, right out. A lot of rookies in this video. NASIRILDEEN, the rookie from Florida State who played safety for Florida State last time we seen him. We didn't see him as last year. But he did kind of play a mixture of things, but mainly like a box safety, essentially a linebacker almost at times. And so that's kind of what the Jets converted him to. I like the fit here. You know, look, they're looking for a guy that, you know, could be a coverage linebacker there in Salah's scheme. And that makes sense to me. Growing on me. This pick was growing on me more and more. They like him. He's pretty high up on the depth chart. They got some injuries as well. So he's going to get some action. And again, could really fit that defense. Could be pretty productive there for the Jets. So got to look out for sure. Patriots went with Josh Uche, you know, a classic Patriot type linebacker / edge rusher, which he kind of was at Michigan too, but kind of learning that Belichick role there last year, kind of fitting in, didn't do a whole lot, but now you see him this year. I think he'll really pick it up. And, you know, people kind of forget, you know, maybe a little bit because they have Judon, they have Kyle Van Noy, they have Winovich rushing the edge as well. But all these guys you really can move around. So I think Uche will be pretty productive. He just really fits that role there with New England. Next, we're going. The Bills weren't the best team for this exercise, this video, because they're pretty straightforward on who's playing for them. But I went with Zach Moss. You know, kind of a big name, not a secretive name, but I think could be that secret weapon for them because I think people are starting to count him out because of injury. Not count him out in general, but in terms of how much playing time he'll get. Mainly people are just Singletary's the guy. That's it. And I agree he's the guy. But in my opinion, maybe a little bold in my opinion, and again, Singletary's the guy, but I think Moss, overall running back talent, I think he has more of it. So I think when he's fully healthy, feeling good, and the Bills try to incorporate more of a run game, I'd watch out for Moss as the season goes on there, kind of be more of that secret guy there. But yeah, the Bills don't really have too many. Somebody may have to step up a corner. It's kind of up in the air who's going to play in certain, you know, in the edge rush spot opposite of Hughes maybe, and who's going to rotate in and when, but none of those guys are really secret weapons. Dolphins, Sam EGUAVOEN from Texas Tech formerly, who they're rotating in at the linebacker position. Could actually start. I could actually see him start for them. He was very, very productive in preseason. Another one of the, you know, the Dolphins run a similar defense. I got Brian Flores run a similar defense with the Patriots ran. Another one of those guys where is he rushing off the edge? Is he blitzing? You know, that's kind of that unique type playmaker that's pretty easy to call a secret weapon, you know, especially the way they get after the quarterback. So, yeah, he was impressive in preseason. Kind of a no-name guy. Not too many people have heard of him, obviously. And they're able to move on. You know, Kyle Van Noy way early in the offseason. They're able to move on from guys like that because they have guys like this under-the-radar guys. So I'd watch out for him for pretty good playing time, actually, early on, believe it or not. Next up, Washington football. I'll go with DYAMI Brown here. Not too many obvious choices for Washington, but Brown, I thought it wouldn't have been a bad pick if somebody took him late first because he's that talented of a receiver. And he looked pretty small sample size, but from what we've seen, looked pretty good so far. But you know, I think he could be the third best receiver on the team, and that guy could be, you know, with the focus on McLaurin and Samuel, the guy could be very sneaky good here for Washington football team. Next, the Giants. I'm going to go another rookie. I'm going to go ZACK OJULARI. You know, he was like a sure thing first-round pick, and then all of a sudden knee injury sparks up, and then he drops to the second. Feels like everyone forgot about him. Like, oh, he dropped for a second for a reason. You know, nobody's really bringing up his name. And you know, that knee injury didn't concern me. That was a long time ago, and it's you know, the Giants definitely need somebody to step up at that position. I think he could be their best edge rusher, actually, believe it or not. Here, I think he'll be productive. I think it's a plug and play type guy. So That's kind of their secret weapon. If they can get some production off the edge, then that'll really, I mean, that'll even make the solid guys from the defensive line, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, those guys even better, which is a scary thought. So watch out for OJULARI. Cowboys going to go Osa Odighizuwa, another rookie, this one from UCLA. Pretty talented. He can move around a bit as well, talented across the defensive line. And then you got guys like Neville Gallimore, who's hurt. Tristan Hill, who's been disappointing and is hurt. So it kind of gives Odighizuwa an opportunity here, and he could show out as not really a big-name rookie here. Next, Eagles, going to go QUEZ Watkins, and we know he had a pretty good preseason. Some surprising cuts at the receiver position. Somewhat surprising, Travis Fulgham, John Hightower. And that's because the guy, for an example, is like QUEZ Watkins here, who they think could step up. They like a lot. And I'm not saying this is a sure thing. This is what's going to happen. I'm guaranteeing anything. But to me, a little bold, I think he could be, when it's all said and done, their second best receiver after Devontae Smith. Rager I was pretty high on. He's explosive. Just not thrilled with his route running ability, but he's definitely an explosive athlete. So watch out for Watkins. Definitely interesting to see how the Eagles, I guess, offense changes a bit. Because, Fulgham was like maybe their top target, and he's on the practice squad now because the new staff that's in there. So things changing for sure. Ravens going to go Tyson Williams, liked what I saw from preseason from him. And obviously J.K. Dobbins goes down. So they need somebody to step up. Some people are thinking Justice Hill, and it could be Justice Hill. I like him out of Oklahoma State as well. But I like what I see from Tyson Williams. Compared to Justice Hill, Williams could definitely handle way more of a load inside if they need him to. But they do have Gus Bus over there. But watch out for this guy. He's pretty impressive. They kept him around as well. And somebody's going to need to step up. Browns, I'm going to go Malik McDowell. I was impressed by him at preseason, moving around the interior defensive line, kind of bullying people, playing against backups for the most on the offensive line. But I thought he did a hell of a job, So this is a guy that was kind of on everyone's radar quite a few years ago, and now playing with the Browns and how they're developing and working with players and what's around him. He really can break out. On top of that, in terms of the interior defensive line, it's kind of why it's open season over there for the Cleveland Browns. So it's kind of a sneaky secret guy that could really be good for them. Steelers going to go James Pierre. Talk about real under the radar type guy here, name I should say. We all offseason kind of wondering if the Steelers going to pick up a corner. Are they going to what are they doing? Are they really going in the season with all this? And it seems like it. They're just so good at coaching, developing guys, and really whoever they stick back there is probably going to look better than they are because their front seven gets so much pressure on the quarterback. So James Pierre is the guy they like, and they're going to use him a bit. I know he has the ability to play in a slot and play outside, and Cam Sutton has the ability to do both. So they're going to put one spot, one in the other spot, and they could be pretty interchangeable. So watch out for Pierre. Again, it's not the hard. They play a lot of man coverage. That's pretty tough for corners, but with that front seven, it makes their job a little bit easier there. So Pierre, definitely a smaller name to keep an eye on here. Bengals, I'm going to go Chris Evans, rookie running back who I liked a lot out of Michigan. He could be their second best back. He could be the third best back. When it comes to the regular season, we'll kind of wait and see. But where he's real sneaky and why he's a secret weapon is his ability to catch, run routes and catch the ball and run after the catch. It's he's almost a receiver built like just purely built like a running back, so he's a running back by default. That's almost what it's like, and he can run the ball. He can run the ball pretty well. So Mixon, especially with Mixon too, has had the injuries. I expect him to stay healthy, but Evans is definitely a secretive guy here that could be involved in many different ways for the Bengals. Lions, I'm going to go Julian OKWARA, edge rusher, brother of Romeo OKWARA, their other edge rusher. They do have Trey Flowers, but I'm still questioning how Trey Flowers kind of fits this defense still. And they're going to start Trey Flowers. There was no moving on from him. He still has that talent. But OKWARA really got going late last year when he really got the opportunity. He was hurt when he first came into Detroit there, obviously. And he really got going, and you kind of look back to his college days, which was just 2 years ago. And there was only one pass rusher in their career in college in that draft class more productive in terms of pressure than Chase Young, and it was Julian OKWARA. So that's kind of saying something. It's kind of saying something there. So he does have the talent. And he definitely fits the new staff's new scheme. So OKWARA should be able to step up and kind of be that secret rotation player there for them. Vikings going to go with Tyler Conklin. Not a big name tight end at all. You know, they had Irv Smith Jr. He goes down. They trade for Chris Herndon. You know, so everyone's just kind of focused on him. But Tyler Conklin really got going late last year. He's pretty talented. It's just about staying healthy here. So he's kind of that secret guy. You know, I think everyone's focused on Jefferson, Thielen, Dalvin Cook, you know, those types of guys. And you know, Conklin leaking out, which is very important to the Vikings tight end group, is he'll be sneaky out there. You know, Rudolph gone as well. So Conklin's the guy. I think he'll be more effective than Herndon early on, but they got plans for Herndon. So we'll see how, when it's all said and done at the end of the season, what happens. But Bears going to go Kindle VILDOR, very under the radar name. Maybe not anymore. Definitely to Bears fans, definitely not, because he's going to be their starter. He's listed as their starter, has been the starter in preseason. He's going to be the starter. So small school guy, you know, just under the radar names, and you know, since college. And yeah, he can be sneaky out there. The Bears are really good at developing these types of players. You know, it's a pretty solid defense, so he kind of can be making plays, you know, out there. And I can just see people going, "Who is that guy?" Especially because his name as well. So, yeah, definitely got to keep an eye out for there. And he's going to be starting for the Bears. Packers going to go Josiah DeGuara, who was I was a fan of last year, one of my guys of the draft. Very good route running tight end, knows how to get open, pretty damn good after the catch. You know, the Packers, we didn't see a whole bunch of him for the Packers last year. I can see us getting a big dose of DeGuara this year. So it's definitely a sneaky receiver option from the tight end position. Could put him at a fullback position if you wanted to too. So Packers liked him enough to draft him. You know, where they did, and I think they got a plan for him, even though they got a pretty crowded room over there. Colts, Mike Strawn, rookie, small school rookie, Charleston. Look at the Colts. You know, T.Y. Hilton goes down. He's going to miss some time. You know, Paris Campbell has that injury concern. I got a couple other guys that are a little beat up, but you know, further down the depth chart. But Strawn, they like. He got some first team reps throughout training camp. Not the whole thing. It's not like he was with the first team the whole time, but they like him. You know, from what I've heard, they really like him, and he's looked pretty good through this process so far. He's a very solid contested catcher, but he's athletic enough to create the separation, which is kind of rare when you come across that. It's pretty nice to have, you know, So it's definitely a guy to watch for here. Definitely an smaller name because he came from a smaller school. So yeah, should be interesting to see how they use him. Titans, not really the smallest name, you know, Elijah Molden. A lot of people are a fan of him out of Washington, the rookie here. So it's not really a secret name. But I think the way they use him is kind of their secret weapon. You know, they're going to put him in the slot corner. He's going to play there, but he can line him up at safety. He can play in the deep end. You know, he can play towards the line. They're going to blitz him after the quarterback quite a bit. So I think pre-snap adjustments kind of can be focused. Team's got to be focused on Molden and some other guys in that defense as well. So that's kind of that secret weapons that kind of puts it all together there for the Titans. So he'll be a playmaker out there. And by playmaker, he could be getting his hands on the ball. He could be getting after the quarterback. So different ways, as you can tell. Jags went Andre CISCO, another rookie here, the safety from Syracuse, who I liked a lot. I was a big fan of his game. Another one of those DBs that can move around a bit. You know, free, strong, can play in the box. I do like him at free. I think he's a natural playmaker, knows how to read the quarterback and attack the ball. They were able to move on from a guy like Jared Wilson because they got a guy like CISCO, so he can be a big-time playmaker early on. You know, he probably can get those interception totals pretty high early on and surprise some people, so kind of a secret weapon there, you know, especially, you know, considering he can get his hands on the ball. Texans, I'm going to go with a veteran here. I'm going to go Andre Roberts. Kind of up in the air who's going to be the starting receivers. You know, I thought about Chris Conley, another veteran, you know, could be that. But I think the Texans will play a lot of small ball. I think they're going to run the ball a lot and then try to get the ball out of Tyrod Taylor's hands real quick. And then having a shifty, speedy guy like Andre Roberts, you know, quick slants, you know, comebacks, you know, quick outs, anything. I think they'll try to get him going. So people view him as, you know, just a pretty damn good returner. But I think it'll be pretty, you know, I'm thinking it'll be pretty productive in terms of being a receiver is a bug in my face. We're moving on. Saints, Tony Jones Jr., who we saw in preseason look pretty good. We didn't get, you know, Saints didn't get to play the full slate of games preseason, unfortunately, but we saw Tony Jones Jr., a small sample size, looked really good. Some thought that he could be passing up Latavius Murray on the depth chart. That'd be pretty interesting. But yeah, he looks like a whole new player. Notre Dame, he was good for Notre Dame, but he was big, kind of slow, kind of wondering this guy be a fullback because he's big and not too fast. And I don't know. He looks a lot quicker, a lot faster. They can even put him at returner at times. He looks good. He looks real good. Saints really know how to develop these players. They like him a lot. And you see how he grew from last year to this year. It kind of just shows that, yeah, they like him. They know how to work with him. And I guess the more reps he gets, maybe he can continue to grow. And also, with their, I guess, the lack of receivers, maybe Kamara plays even more receiver than he did before, so it'd be pretty important to have multiple backs that can carry the ball. Don't get me wrong, Kamara's going to carry the ball plenty, but yeah, having a guy like Tony Jones Jr. be pretty big for them. So, Bucks, all right, hear me out on this one. I know what you're thinking. Joe Tryon is not really secret at all. It's a big name. They draft him in the first round. He's tearing it up in preseason, so everybody knows about Joe Tryon for sure. That's really not this video, though. Secret. I'm trying to find secret names. If I did that, it'd be guys that just didn't even touch the field, But why he's on here is it's a secret weapon, how the Buccaneers will use him. I actually talked about this before anybody drafted him, how teams may use him, and especially I was talking about a lot when the Buccaneers took him, because when he played for Washington, he played a little bit of edge rusher and then almost dropping in coverage, playing off the ball linebacker. It's why I compared him a few times to Anthony Barr, because that's what Anthony Barr kind of did and ended up being, and he just, kind of remind me of him, UCLA Anthony Barr, so they'll use him off the edge and where he looks good at, but he can, we see them in preseason lining up with like a 3-3-5 type thing. And I mentioned that they can use Tryon, Barrett, and JPP all at the same time, because we've seen JPP play defensive end in the 3-4. It's not his position, but he can line up there at times. Then you can have the two edge. You can get insanely creative, and it starts with this. That's why it was such a great draft pick for the Buccaneers. So definitely his abilities kind of makes him a secret weapon, how he's used there. Panthers going to go Tommy Tremble, a rookie here. I think he's going to be used a lot more than what people think. This is a dominant blocking tight end, but he's sneaky catching the ball. As a receiving tight end as well. They want to run the ball more effectively. Having Christian McCaffrey back helps. Offensive line's looking a little up in the air how it will be, but having a dominant blocker in there helps. So you don't want to become too obvious, though. Tremble's on the field. Okay, run blocking. They're running. He's not in the field. They're throwing. It's not going to be like that. They want him in to run the ball, but they want to get creative, throw teams off, and leak them out so it doesn't get too predictable. So that would make sense to me. I can't guarantee that's what to do, but it would be mind-blowing if they got too predictable there in terms of who is on and off the field. So I'd look out for him as more of a receiving threat than as expected. Falcons, I like this one a lot. Michael Walker, who I liked out of Fresno State a couple years ago, linebacker. He can play, almost like an inside linebacker, outside linebacker. He can rush off the edge. He can blitz. He can even drop in coverage. So he's kind of a do-it-all linebacker. He doesn't do anything that great. I will say he can be a pretty damn good blitzer, getting after the quarterback. But he's still young, getting better. They got a new staff in there. They changed the scheme up a little bit where I think Michael Walker can play multiple different spots. They're going to want to blitz more, too. This defense is going to want to blitz more than they used to. And I think this is kind of that key blitzing guy, for them. So this guy could break out, but he's also that, secret weapon because he's moving around. What's he doing? Is he coming? Is he dropping back? So it's one of those types of players there. Broncos rookie Jonathan Cooper really stood out in preseason. Wasn't too productive at Ohio State, but we already know he's going to be more productive for the Broncos. They might limit, not limit, but you know what I mean, kind of Von Miller a little bit. It's a little bit there. So I think we could see Cooper quite a bit. So that could be a guy, could they use, all three of their pass rushers at the same time? Could they try to get creative? See a lot more defenses showing different looks these days to throw off offenses. Raiders, Nate Hobbs, looks like they've kind of found I want to say hidden, but almost like a hidden gem here. The cornerback from Illinois, he can play. He's looking like a slot corner. It's a pretty big slot corner, over 6 foot, built, you could see. So new generation of slot corners being created for the Raiders. But I do think he has the ability to play outside as well. So it just feels like he improved the Raiders secondary, adding a guy like this. So definitely a guy that would be out there making plays this year for the Raiders, and it's definitely an under-the-radar name. Not a lot of people had grades on him in the draft. Chargers going to go with Josh Palmer. I think a reason why Tyron Johnson was let go is because a guy like Josh Palmer, I thought was an incredible fit. He was not that productive at Tennessee, but he's going to give us way more than what people are expecting and what people give him credit for based on his past, for sure. I'm not saying another one of those situations where I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. I could see a scenario, though, where he's at the end, when it's all said and done, he's the second best receiver after Keenan Allen. Again, not my prediction. He could very well be the fourth after Mike Williams and Guyton, but Mike Williams kind of disappears at times. And Palmer just fits, Herbert ball so well. He's got so much upside that I think he'll be used a lot more than what people are expecting. Chiefs, not too many obvious ones for the Chiefs. I'll go Mike Hughes. I think people forget that Mike Hughes is still talented. It's just all about the health. The Vikings take him in the first round, talented guy, lighting up early on rookie year, then gets hurt out for season. And then wasn't as talented when he came back, but he kept getting hurt, and the Titans move on from next to nothing. So I think people assume, he's a first round pick, move on from nothing. Kind of scratch him off their mind. He's nothing really, but he's pretty damn talented. And the Chiefs, I'd say, they rotate corners quite a bit. They use quite a bit of corners. You look at the past within a ball game. They'll use multiple. So, and it's Hughes could take a starting job as well too. He could take it from somebody. So, could argue DeAndre Baker. I'm thinking more Hughes here to be that guy that steps up. He could be that playmaker that he thought he would be. Coming out of Central Florida there. So, I'd watch out for Hughes. 49ers, Trey Sermon. Not really a secret name anymore. It's pretty big time at Ohio State, Oklahoma before that. It's kind of a bigger name there for a rookie running back. But the reason I put him here is I think they really want to gear towards Sermon. Mostert's very talented. I think more talented than Sermon, obviously, but he has the injury concern. I think they kind of want to limit him more than what people realize. And Trey Lance designed runs, more involve more of just power gap running, just straight north and south, and that kind of fits Sermon a little bit. So Sermon kind of the Trey Lance guy, Mostert kind of the Garoppolo guy. He can mix it up to throw teams off. It's a beautiful thing. So I think Sermon's going to another thing that could be, I can see it. I can see Sermon at the end of the year being like, okay, Sermon's 49ers running back. He was their top back. He got the most yards. Again, Mostert's more talented right now, but it's a scenario I can see there. So that's why it's a little bit of a secret guy there, I guess. Cardinals going to go Rondale Moore. Again, kind of a bigger name guy, receiver somewhat. So not a secret name, but, people look at the Cardinals receivers. They think, okay, of course, DeAndre Hopkins. They got A.J. Green, that big name guy in A.J. Green. And they can launch it downfield with Christian Kirk. Rondale Moore is receiver 4. Well, the Cardinals, what I've been saying since early last year, the Cardinals need to get a receiver that can get open in the middle of the field. They need more production over the middle of the field. I think it's a collection of things, that the reason why they weren't. But I think Rondale Moore is there to do that, and I think he will, and that will stand out to me. Another one, I can see a scenario where he ends up being their second best receiver after DeAndre Hopkins at the end of the year. Again, not saying that'll happen, but and they'll get him end arounds, they'll get him screen passes. And I think he had 1 or 2 catches over 20 yards the last year. I can see that improving in no time too with the Cardinals too. So maybe some surprises in store with a guy like Rondale Moore and the Cardinals. Seahawks, I like this one a lot. Darrell Taylor, who I liked out of Tennessee last year, they drafted pretty high, and he was hurt last year, and now he's back, and I'm expecting pretty good things because the job out there for an edge rush position, is kind of open opposite of Carlos Dunlap, and they got a lot of rotation. They like to rotate a lot of guys, and we see them run their Leo defense here, with one guy kind of being a outside linebacker defensive end hybrid, and that is exactly Darrell Taylor. Could have him dropping coverage at times, so it's a guy they liked a lot. They've been a weird drafting team, so who knows how these guys end up, but they liked him a lot where they drafted him the second round last year. So I'm expecting some, not crazy big things, but I'm expecting some things. And I did like him out of Tennessee. Freak athlete, kind of freak of a dude here. So we'll see him get after it, and that could really help Seahawks if he gets after it, what we think he can do here. Rams, their edge rusher Chris Garrett, name's kind of getting out there because the preseason was tearing it up. I mean, they found a hidden gem. It feels like we'll see what he can do in the regular season. But Concordia, St. Paul, just a small school guy. I didn't have a grade on him. I had grades on like 450 guys. So under the radar guy for sure. They had a long list of guys who could start opposite of Leonard Floyd. I'd watch out for Garrett kind of taking over that role. A crazy rotation coming in. He'll make plays in the right moment. So that's kind of their secret weapon guy. Could they get creative and Again, another one of those teams I can see them putting 3 edge rushers out there at once. They want to put Terrell Lewis or whoever it may be out there at the same time. Because their inside linebackers play has not been the greatest. So if you want to change it up a little bit to, might as well put another pass rusher out there. Team's been doing that a lot lately. It's different. It's changing. I think it's because the offense has changed so much that there's so hard to stop. We'll just throw more pass rush at them because teams are passing more than they used to. So I guess that'll explain it. But those are my secret weapons, kind of the under-the-radar guys, or in terms of how teams will use them as well, maybe for the bigger name guys. Let me know your thoughts. You think there's another secret weapon that I didn't mention? We're always talking on Twitter as well. Link in the description. Follow that. Be much appreciated. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Season's right around the corner. Right around the corner. Full in-season content, of course. Cannot wait. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.